Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are going to be back in the TBM-930 with the improvements to the working title G3000 mod, being able to add airways now, secondary flight plans, all that good jazz. I figured it was time to fly this bird again. I haven't flown her in quite a while and I love this aircraft. It's one of those aircraft you step away from and then you come back and it's like you found a lost long love. So we're going to take the TBM from Nashville, Tennessee over to New York City. We're going to be coming into JFK. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and hop into the cockpit and get this aircraft going. All right, before we get started, I had a question on it was either Patreon or Discord. I can't remember what it was now. But I had one of my subscribers ask me how to make custom views or how I did my views for the TBM. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. You need to bind a few keybinds in order to effectively do this. So I'm going to show you guys real quick what those are real fast. We're not going to go too quick. Or too slow here. So we're going to go keyboard profile. I'm going to search by input. So down arrow, okay. We want just the down arrow, decrease cockpit way or view height, way height. Okay. Then I have increase, this one here. Left, this one here. Right, this one here. Okay. And then also Shift and W, this one here, and I also did Shift and S, this one here. This is how I make all my views, and then everything else I use the mouse for. Okay, so that's the start. We're gonna need those, and then what I do is I pick my most common areas, right? So Alt 1, and how you're gonna do this is you're gonna set your view. So let me do this here. So this is my default captain's view, right? And if I go to Control 1. It was very, I can't remember what it was now, I changed it, but it was very in a weird position. So basically you're going to find your spot that you want to be. So let's say you wanted to be here. Okay. And you can also use your mouse. I'm holding the right click down. Adjust the camera at the right angle that you want it. Okay. Let's say you wanted to be a little bit closer in. Kind of like that. And then you're going to hit Control, Alt, and 1. Okay. And this now saved that view. So now if I go to Alt 2, we're going to change my view. Okay, obviously I did the same thing. I positioned my camera, moved it up here to the overhead panel, then hit Control, Alt, and 2. And then when I hit Alt 2, it brings me here. So Control, Alt, and the number assigns your custom view to that number. Alt and the number actually takes your camera to that number. So we go Alt 1, takes us back to the view we just created. I need to back that up just a little bit for my liking though, because it helps with making the videos. I don't always use the head tracker. I probably won't use it today because it's just a pain in the butt. Control, Alt, and 1 again, and now it has saved the new camera position. And I do the same thing with everything. So all I do is like I would use my down arrow if I want to come down, Shift and W if I want to move forward, S, Shift and S if I want to move back, and that's right shift is how you have it set up. Your right arrow to translate right, okay? And the cool thing about the TBM is it's all one unit, so you can even back up and go into the cabin. Right, and make your custom camera views. Like I think I have Alt 5 is one. Yep, there's one. Alt 6 is one. I think that was it. Oh, Alt 7's way up here. I can't believe I did that. Alt 8 brings me up here. Alt 9 to the FCP panel or FCU. So it's really based on your preference. There's Alt 4. So just give you guys a couple ideas. I hope that answered your question, sir, to the person who asked me. You know who you are. I hope that helps you make some custom views. And I do this for all of my aircraft. It's the first thing I do when I step into a new plane is I create my own views because the default views are just, some of them are good, some of them not so much. All right. But anyway, so with that being said, let's get on to our flight now. All right, let's get this beauty rolling. So first, take the pilot out of there. I don't think I would look that good as a woman. So it's just a tease really at the end of the day to do that. Green for locked. All right, and let's go to Alt-2, go to my overhead panel, boom. Batteries on.
Okay.
Actually, before we do that, let's try to do this correctly for once. Let me set my weights and balances. So I've already got our flight plan built out in SimBrief. Okay, so here it is here. I picked this route because we have a bunch of airways here. We've got some directs. Actually, it's mostly just directs, but there's an airway there. We've got a couple of them here. There's another one there. So it should be pretty fun. So let's find our fuel load for today. We're looking at 1354. So we're going to take our pounds here, increase our gallons. There's 1330. Let's look for 69%. 1350. Perfect. I can totally live with that. Let's check our center of gravity. We can probably move that back just a bit. There we go. There's a nice, perfect CG. All right. Aircraft's fueled. Now let's get her started. So we got battery on. We got our generators on. Ignition to on. Auxiliary boost pumps to on. Fuel selector, make sure it's in the manual position. Nav lights on. Pulse lights on. And let's go ahead and give her a crank. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi on the starter. Whoa. And a nice lag from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Where would we be without it? Watching for 13% on the NG. Oh, that should not have happened. We should be in low flight idle. We can clear the master caution. Looking for 53% now on the NG. There we go. Go into high flight idle. There we go. All right, engines are started. We can now take the ignition, put it to auto, auxiliary boost pumps to auto, fuel selections to auto, autopilot trim on, and oxygen turned on. And guys, I get a comment from someone in every single video. This is according to the pilot's operational handbook or operating handbook. The real world document says that at startup, the master oxygen switch comes on. So I don't know. I know there are differences and variances like Steve O'Canivo. I've seen it myself. You guys are right. In his TBM, he turns it on after 10,000 feet. But so I don't know what the catch there is. But anyway, so now let's go ahead and keep going here. We're going to come on downstairs. Let's see here. We left our AC on, but that's all right. So AC is set. Temperature set accordingly. Parking brake is set. Landing gear obviously already checked. Pressurization, we want max diff or auto. The difference between the two, max diff is going to change the pressure as quickly as possible, but be the least comfortable for your passengers, right? They're going to feel their ears popping, things like that. It might make them a little nauseous. Okay, so auto is going to be the smoothest transition, but you have to make sure you climb accordingly. If you climb too fast, auto will not change the pressure fast enough. And you might get a pressurization warning. And here's your pressurization gauges here. So this is your altitude pressurization, and this is how quickly it's changing, okay? And if this variance gets too high or low one direction or the other, you may get an alarm here on the warning page, on the CASP page. Okay, so we are all set. Engine start is complete. Doing a real quick check. Let's go ahead and get our METAR information. We'll get our ATIS information in now. And, gosh, I can't remember where the heck we are. KABL, is that what it was? No. Nashville... ICAO. KBNA, that's what it was. All right, so KBNA. Oh, actually, I got it right there. Cool. Is that it? Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. Disregard. So KBNA METAR. That's a weird word. And 3022 on the altimeter. Wow. All right, so let's get that in there. 3022. That's set in the standby, and let's set it in the primary. All right, cool. So now let's look at getting our flight plan information entered and get this beautiful bird out of here. So we're going to come... Where do I want to be? Which one do I want to use today? Let's use Alt 3 here. All right, let's start entering our flight plan. All right, so just to make sure that you guys are all caught up, let's scroll down to our flight route here and let's see what we got going on. So we're going to be departing from Nashville using runway 02 right, taking the Chad M3 departure to the swap transition. From there, going direct to Bravo Kilo Whiskey, then direct to Asper, direct to Denny, direct to Mull, and then jumping on to the J24 to the HCM fix, then direct to Sod, jumping on to the J121 to the Sierra India Echo fix, and then from there jumping on to the Carmen 4 arrival into JFK, coming in on runway 31 left. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter that all in. So we're going to come down to the MFD. We're going to go to flight plan. We're going to add origin. Okay, and let's see here. Let's do this. Some people have said that it gets a little hard to see things. I'm doing the best I can. That is one of the downfalls to me using 4K resolution, but that's what we got. So first we're going to start with our departure ICAO. So KBNA, press enter. Okay, then we're going to add our destination for KJFK. Boom, right? Next we want to add our SID and stars. So we're going to be adding the Chad M3 using the swap transition and the Sierra India Echo transition jumping onto the Carmen 4 arrival. So we're going to add those in next. So we're going to come over here to procedures, their departure, and there it is, Chad M3 using swap, runway 02 left. Oh, so that's the only difference. We want to select 02 right. So let's find that. There it is, runway 02 right. All right, and we can preview this now. I love this. This is so cool. And there it is. So here's our departure. Okay, jumping onto the Chad, and we're going to be coming out to the swap transition and continuing with our waypoints. Okay, so perfect. Let's hit load. Now let's come on down, and we're going to go back again, and we're going to enter in our arrival. So this is where we enter in our star. We are using the Carmen 4. Now this is showing no transition, but there it is right there. There's our transition onto the star, but there isn't any transition from the star to the approach. That's what this is going to be asking. This is our leaving. So we're on the Carmen 4, leaving onto the approach is what this transition is looking for. So in this case, we're just going to hit load. We'll check out our whole flight plan later. All right, now we're going to hit back. And we're going to look at the approach. And the approach that we're looking for, remember, is 31 left. So we're going to come down here. We're going to scroll down and look for ILS 31 left. And let's find out what transition we want today. We have 2 to choose from. So this is where this gets cool. Preview. Show chart. Now we'll give it a second. It's loading up Navigraph, and there it is. I'm so happy. Anyway, let's zoom in a bit. So there's Chant. That's the Mista Fix approach, which is interesting. So they'll be coming in. All right, so they've got us coming in for 3-1 left. Oh, there's Chant there. So that brings us, we come back and go back to the transition point. And Chant actually makes sense. So we were going to be coming in. Remember, the charts are always north facing up. All right, we're coming in from the southwest. So we are going to be coming up this direction. So Chant makes perfect sense. And then this is the DPK. So if we were to go DPK, we would come up way out of our way to come back into the approach. So Chant is definitely our transition today. All right, so we got all that loaded in. And we don't want to activate the approach yet. Boom. So now we're going to go back to our flight plan. And now it's time to take a look at everything in between. So now we are moving from here to here. This is all the information that we still need to enter in. Okay. Everything else that's not highlighted is already in the computer. So direct, right? We're not going to take any airway when we see DCT. We're going to point the nose at this fix and fly to it. So we've got quite a few of those. So I'm going to pull this off. And we're going to come down here to our first add in route waypoint right here. So this is where we need to start adding waypoints in. And the first one is Bravo Kilo Whiskey. Press enter. Next one down is Asper Alpha Sierra Bravo Uniform Romeo. Enter. And the next one was to Denny Delta Echo November Yankee. And here, you're going to pick the ones that are the closest, because it just means it's you. Like, this one's in Japan, okay? I don't think that's where we want to go. This one's Northeast USA and only 349 nautical miles away. Only, he says. So we're going to select that one. And then, what do we got next? So from Denny, we're going to go direct to Mike Oscar Lima. Enter. And again, it's another one. Poland, probably not the one we're looking for. So it's like the bottom one. And then from here is where we're going to be jumping on to the J24. So how we're going to do this, okay, is we're going to first enter in the fix and then the route to jump onto the fix. But we're also going to need to remember how we're jumping on to the airway. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean in a minute. So first thing we're going to do is enter the fix. We're going to enter HCM. Hotel Charlie Mike. And press enter. Now we're going to select Hotel Charlie Mike. And we're going to hit, where is it? Load airway. Entry point is HCM. That's actually not right. I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. So we're going to go to airway. And it's going to show all the airways that connect to HCM. So we're going to go to J24. Now we're going to change that. Okay. And, oh, there it goes. Sorry. And from here, we're actually looking for the Mike Oscar Lima. There it is right there. So it's a VOR station, looks like. So that's how we're gonna get fly to Mole. From Mole, jump onto the J24, and we're going to exit at HCM, which is another VOR. And now you've got your sequence of the routes that will be taken to get there. So we're gonna hit load airway. Okay? And it collapses it. Okay, so what it means by collapse, if we expand it, we can actually see those sequence that are attached to that airway. Okay, so this is a really neat feature. I love what they've done here, and we can recollapse that. Okay, so then the next one, now we're going direct to SOD. So Sierra Alpha Whiskey Echo Delta. Press enter. Okay, so that's good. And then from there, we're going to be jumping onto the J121 to the to the Sierra India Echo. Okay, so we need to type our fix first again, just like we did before. We're going to type the fix in first, then address the airway. So Sierra India Echo, press enter. And again, probably not Spain, probably not Poland, right? Now we're going to select that one, load airway, and this was the J121. Change the entry point. And the entry point should be our previous fix, which would be SOD. So let's go down and find it. Come on. There it is. And the exit point is the Sierra India Echo. There it is right there. Okay, and load airway. And now we are complete. Our flight plan is done. We could create a secondary flight plan if we needed to. I'm not going to worry about that today. We can just hit done. I don't even know if done is a requirement anymore, but we have everything broken down. I love what they've done here. You have your full approach listed here. We have our arrival listed. This is so cool. This is so freaking cool. I love what they've done with the airways and breaking them down. Beasts, I tell you. Okay, so anyway, we are all set, guys. So flight plan options, I think that's all we need. If you really want, or we can show on map, and we can pop up a little bit here, and there's our entire flight route. Now, I don't know if we can, I don't think we can zoom in or out, unfortunately. I don't know if that's by design. You also can't activate the mouse tracer, but you can at least see it all drawn out. Maybe that's something that is a bug right now and will be addressed later. Either way, I don't care. I'm so freaking grateful for this. So we're going to hit show on map. And then from here, obviously, you could definitely do that. You could left click here, use your mouse, and we could pan through it if you wanted to sort of just verify your flight route and look for anything that was weird like that. What do we got going on here? Same thing happened at SOD. Interesting. Well, that doesn't make any sense. All right, let's go back and take a look at something. And this is why you check your flight plans. So let's come down here for a minute. Let's do some looking here. HCM. Oh, well, that's why. Why did it do that? That is very weird. All right, so this, let's remove that waypoint. And it did the same thing here. So let's remove the waypoint. Interesting. Okay. So now let's go up and check our flight plan again. I think we've got it now. Oh, you know what? I don't want to do it from there. I want to go up top. So let's come back in here and let's see if that fixed our problems. I think it did. So that could have been the way I entered it. Maybe I'm entering it a bit wrong. But it looks like we've got it now. Yep. All right, cool. So that fixed that problem. That's good. So it looks like anytime you see that, you just need to delete the previous one. And I'm not quite sure why it did that. So I'm going to have to reevaluate my process of doing that because I'm obviously missing something, which is totally cool. I'm really not that worried about it. That was just my understanding from reading the documentation of how to do it. But I will be updating the TBM-930 guide this weekend, though, guys. There will be a new release tonight or tomorrow night with this information in it. So hope you guys enjoy. And I'll have the flight plan information figured out before then. Obviously, I won't put any wrong information in there. All right. So now we have our minimums. I'm just going to drop 200 feet in there for right now for our standard. We'll check the charts later. Speed bugs. We want our rotation speed of 90 knots, and we're going to be using best rate at 124 knots, or best speed, excuse me, and our approach speed of 85 knots, but we can turn that on when we get into the approach. Timers, you can use your timer if you want. I'm terrible. I never do. I'll call it as is. Let's make sure that our CDI is set to the correct source. We want it on FMS. There it is. Now let's set our initial target altitude. Oops, hello. This is what I do. Where did I put that? Where did I put that? There we go. Goodness gracious mercy. All right, so I am going to turn this a little bit so we can see what's going on here. All right, so first thing is we're going to want our target altitude. Let's set it at about 8,000 feet for today. Okay. 8,000 feet there. We're going to want to set our heading. We can either set it to our initial runway heading or wait till we line up and just give it a tap. That's probably what I'm going to do. We can turn our flight directors on. And then we also want to set up our flight level change. And I believe we saw 124 knots. This is the speed at which we'll climb at once we activate the autopilot. $124 knots. All right, and everything else has to wait until we are ready to get rolling. We've got our speed set. We've got our target altitude set. We'll set our heading once we reach the runway. Altimeter is set. Flight plan is entered. CDI is confirmed, ready to go. Come up top. Taxi lights on. One quick check of all the flight controls. Everything is active. ELT is armed. Inertial separator is on for taxi and climb out. Flaps maintain their position until we reach the runway. Reason being is you don't want any debris from the prop wash kicking up and damaging the flap surfaces. So wait till we're just about to take the runway before we worry about flaps. Turn some air on because whether we're in Nashville or not, I live in Arizona and it is hot. And let's pull our flight plan back up here on the MFD. And ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for taxi. All right, so before we taxi out, we need to clear the master caution from the inertial separator. That is completely normal. We'll turn the pitot heaters and everything on just before takeoff. Let's bring up our charts so we can get our taxi route out of here. Let's see here. That's the low vis. Airport info, I think, is the one we want. Yep, there we go. All right, and let's see where we are. All right, so we're here, and our goal is 02 left, which is this one way up here. Mercy, that's a taxi. So you know what? Let's go ahead and change our departure to 02 center. Shouldn't make any difference based on where we're at, so let's give that a shot. So let's come down to, gotta give me a second, there we go. So we're gonna go home, we're gonna go to procedures, we're gonna go to departure, and we're just gonna change our runway to 02 center. There we go, that makes way more sense. And we don't have to worry about activating the approach. Go back to our map page, go back to our charts, come up here, and now we should have a much smoother time. All right, guys, let's see about getting the heck out of here. So first thing I like to do, I'm gonna go to my chart options here, go into night mode. Maybe. Uh-oh. Come on. There you go. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay. We'll just move this right here. Perfect. Now we have our taxi route. All right, so let's get out of here. So let's do one final check here. We have taxi lights are turned on, landing lights are off, obviously. Oxygen set, autopilot set, trim is set, oxygen's on. Initial separators are on. Pitot heat, we're waiting until we get airborne. I need to change the time back a little bit. I stepped away for a couple hours. I had family come over unexpectedly. So let's see here. Make sure I'm still all squared away. I can't remember. Is this one working yet or not? I don't think so, huh? Oh, yes, it is. Cool. All right. Far out. All right. That's it then. Parking brake released. Let's get our baby out of here. Sorry, June. Oh, that had to hurt. But I mean, literally, who stands in front of an airplane like that? That's just weird. Why would you do that? Nice easy taxi out today. Got a pretty long flight ahead of us. I haven't taken one this long in the TBM in quite a while, actually. I didn't even look to see what our cruise altitude is set to be. Let's take a look here. 29,000 according to this, but yeah, that'll work. I was looking at subscriptions to Pilot Edge again, so I think I'm about ready to get that started. The trick I'll tell you with Pilot Edge: start with short flights, and doesn't matter if you're doing IFR or VFR. I just recommend short flights, easy routes at first. Like honestly, one of the easiest that I've flown when I was first learning before an X-plane is the Tucson to Los Angeles. There's very few deviations. They never really set me off of my flight plan. There wasn't a whole lot to worry about, and so the reason why that was a good thing is it got you in the got you some training on just talking to them. Because with Pilot Edge, for those of you who don't know, you're talking to real-world air traffic controllers. This isn't like VATSIM where people are simulating or learning, which VATSIM is great too, don't get me wrong. But these are actually professional, real-world air traffic controllers who donate some of their off time to, flight simulation. And so they treat you just like they do in the real world. They talk to you just like they do in the real world. And most time, especially if the traffic is low, they're really good about giving you tips and letting you know what you do wrong. Hey, you want to say X, Y, Z instead next time, blah, blah, blah. They're really good about doing that, which is very nice. Let me turn some panel lighting up here. There we go. That's better. So I recommend short flights if you're interested in that. If you catch them on a busy day, however, they may chew you out, and like if you bust altitudes and things like that, they'll come at you. And a lot of times they'll say, they may either say, hey, you busted altitude, don't do that again, kind of thing, or they may tell you, hey, if you want to continue using the service today for this particular flight, you need to start again. And they'll give you the option, do you want to terminate service for this flight, or do you want to start again? And when they say start again, they mean start again. You restart the flight. All right, so let's hold short here. And let's get ready for takeoff. All right, so as we're sitting here, we're going to bring our landing lights on, turn the strobe light on, take flaps 1. Come on, baby. There we go. And let's get pushing out. And we're also going to turn our pitot heats on. Outside air temperature, let's see what we got here. 28 degrees Celsius. That sounds like a pretty warm day, honestly, out here. So we'll just have to monitor that as we climb out. We'll be leaving the inertial separator on until we clear the canopy. But, all right, so we are ready here. And we're just going to push on out, guys. So let's go ahead and set our takeoff power. Bring the torque right to the edge of the green line here, and RPM staying under the red, but right at the threshold of it. Looking for 90 knots on the rotation. Quite a crosswind here. There's 90 knots coming up. Positive rate, gear up. Flaps up. We're going to go to nav mode, yaw damper, and autopilot. From here, we'll go to our MFD, turn our map on, turning towards our course now. Looking for 124 knots climb out speed. Looks like we got quite a bumpy day. Pulling that engine torque back now that we're airborne. We actually took off with a tailwind. I didn't catch that. Looks like the wind had changed while I was away. I should have paid more attention to that, so my apologies for that, guys. Wasn't very realistic there. But all's well that ends well, right? Probably why it took so long for us to get to our takeoff speed. Actually, no, I guess that wouldn't make sense either. Let's see, is there anything I'm missing here? Climbing through 3,000 feet. Alright, so from here, I'm going to select our altitude bug, and I'm using my HOTAS controls. And I'm going to take us up to our cruise altitude. We're just going to go straight up to 29,000 feet today. Like I said, I'm going to leave the yaw damper. I'm going to leave the inertial separator on until we clear the clouds. monitoring, see our... Yeah, we're already down to 14 degrees Celsius outside air temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and turn our anti-ice on. I'm willing to bet we're going to need it today. Because we're only at 5,000 feet and already down to 13 degrees. So going up to 30, basically 29, well, yeah, 29,000 feet. Definitely going to get cold up there. I do love this aircraft, man. She'll climb like a bat out of hell. Pressurization difference looking good. Got that right here. Still in the green. Variance is 499 feet. Feels good. Flaps are up. All right, passing through 10,000 feet. I'm gonna come up top. Turn our landing lights off. Alright, we're passing through 18,000 feet, so we're going to come up here and switch us back into, oh, give that click again. There it goes, back into standard altimeter. And bring it down here as well. Alright, so we're basically wrapped up, and from here, just be a nice smooth flight up to cruise. So I'll see you guys after a bit. Alright, so we're getting ready to, as you can see here, coming out of our climb. And from here, we'll accelerate up to our cruise speed, and now it's just a very long flight over to New York. So I will catch you guys as we get closer to our descent, 29,000 feet. We'll probably be looking at descending... Oh, probably about 80 or 90 miles out. That's when we'll start looking at it. Alright guys, so I will see you definitely in a few hours. And I believe we'll be looking at a night landing into JFK. So I'll catch you guys after a bit. Real quick, something that it just dawned on me I forgot to include in the recording is that once we got up to cruise altitude, I did shut off the inertial separator. We got through the canopy, no longer a concern of catching some sort of debris or frozen ice stuck inside the in the cloud level there, and so then we can kick off the inertial separator and let it rip and grip. Okay, and as you can see, we're starting to haul butt here. Now, the one thing that you want to pay attention to when you turn the inertial separator off is your torque is going to increase, and therefore your prop RPM is going to increase, so you need to make sure that you don't overspeed the prop. Alright? But anyway, other than that, you can see we're flirting right on the edge of maximum speed here, so we're sort of paying attention to that for a second. But so far, we're still within the limitations, so I'm just sort of keeping it as is. We're cruising along at 314 knots, 340 knots ground speed, so looking pretty good. I think we will pull the torque back just a bit. And bring it back to about 74 or so. Let's try to get that overspeed out of the limits there. we've got a nice strong tailwind. It's sort of a crosswind, but it's still pushing us forward quite a bit. So I'm going to keep pulling power off until we get out of the red zone here. It's pretty bumpy up here. The winds are pretty nuts. Like I said, 35 knots against the airframe here. Really pushing the aircraft hard. I'm going to let it come back a little further. I'm looking for about 190 knots indicated. Then I'll be satisfied leaving it as is. But it's definitely a bumpy ride up here today. And look at those clouds. Those clouds even look mean. As pretty as these clouds are, they're actually a real you-know-what to fly in. Really, they can be really violent. Especially those ones that really tower high. You see them sort of just shoot up. Just remember, it's the wind making it go up like that. So it can be quite the ride going through those. So, all right, we're holding steady about 186, 187 knots. I'm going to go ahead and leave her there for now, and we'll just monitor as we cruise along. All right, guys, so I'll see you quite a bit. We still got quite a ways to go yet. We're still on our first leg. All right, guys, so we are getting pretty close here. We're about 85, 90 miles out, give or take. So we're going to come down here. We're going to go to look at our charts. And for KJFK, we want to look at our arrival information. Oops, hit the wrong button. And we're coming on the Karman 4. Oh, did I click something? Yes, I did. And here we can see our aircraft. Let me get us into a better view here. And by hogs, we want to be at flight level 180, so we're actually a little behind the curve here. I'm going to be a little high, so we're hopefully by Karman we can make 11,000 feet. So we need to get this aircraft down. So we are going to go into vertical speed mode. We're going to start descending. I'm going to pull the power off, and we're going to set our altitude down to 18,000 feet. Actually, I'm going to set it all the way down to 11,000 feet. And go back into vertical speed, point that nose down. We got to descend pretty fast, unfortunately. I waited a little too long. So, pilot error right there, guys. Don't wait too long. Check your charts early. I got a little too cozy and comfy and looking at things for my Mustang. I'm restoring a 65 Mustang with a 302 in it. Don't get too happy, pony drivers. My primary car is a Challenger, so I'm a Mopar lover too. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make hogs. Yep, now we're moving on to Zax. Let's go back to our flight plan for a second. What is going on here? Why is this so dramatic? Oh, it's got another one of those stupid back and forth craps in it. Alright, hang on, we gotta figure out which one's the problem. What is the problem? Oh, let's activate the approach mode. Select approach. We need to activate the approach. Oh, no. Looks like it already activated, so what are we doing here? This is weird. So, little weird behavior from the autopilot right now. Not gonna lie. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Flight plan. I'm not sure what is going on here. Here's hogs. We should be going to Pansy next. Activate leg to waypoint. little odd behavior. Interesting. And actually, I think we'll just go to Karis. See, this is weird. This is not good. All right, guys. So, time to do that pilot stuff. We're going to bring her in manually. Autopilot has done some weird things, so this is one of those times we're going to take over and do what needs to be done here. I'm not sure what's happening here, but something got messed up in the flight plan here. And then when I hit direct to this one, it activated the leg above, so it's going to come all the way back over here. We already passed the Hogs waypoint, and that's where it started acting weird. Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know what it's trying to compute over here, but it won't let me activate what I need to activate. So we can try doing this a couple of different ways. Let's try doing... So Karis, let's just try flying direct to it. Activate direct. Alright, so that's working at least. Let's go back to nav mode. And then we can just do that with each one for the moment. I don't know if that's a bug or something weird that happened with the way the flight plan was created. Maybe I made an error or something. I turned my bank restriction back on. I'm not quite sure how that got turned off. Alright, passing through 18,000. So I need to get the JFK MEDAR. Give me a second here. And keep it descending. $3016. Gotta love when these weird issues pop up. I tell you, man. By Carmen, I think we were looking for 11,000 feet. We may still make that yet. We're descending fast enough, I think we can hit that one. I think we need to be at 11,000 if memory serves. Yes, so that says at 11,000 at 250 knots. We're at 255 knots, true airspeed, so we're doing pretty good. And I think we'll make the descent. Let's go back to our flight plan. Oops. Not sure what happened there. Didn't mean to hit that button. MFD. Alright. So now we're going direct to Karis. Let's go back here, go to our flight plan, and it activated that previous leg again. So now we're going to go direct to Carmen. We're going to make this all work. And like I said, it could have been an error of mine. I didn't think it was. I thought we double checked it, but it looks like I missed something. So that's my fault at that point. So we're just going to keep holding true here. We are going to make our 11,000 mark, so that's good. And other than that, we should be okay here. We'll just continue our descent as we normally would and fly it the way we can fly it. Now I am going to sort of monitor. Oh, you know what? Let me get that meter back. Okay, JFK. I want to make sure that we have the right approach in. So winds right now are 310 at 15 knots. So they're coming in from, what would that be, the northwest. Oh, oops, didn't mean to hit that. Ah, get out of here. Dude, stop it. Let's go to the charts for a second. Let's go to the approach. Actually, let's just go to airport info. We gotta take a look at this. So 310, what's gonna be our best runway here to come in on? got 8 miles to Carmen, or Cameron, I guess would that be, sorry. 1-3. So 3-1 left. I think it needs to be our approach. It looks like it's right where we need to be. And I can't remember what approach we have set in, so let's take a look at this for a second. 3-1 left. That's going to work out. All right. Exactly what we're looking for. Now, this is according to the live weather, the real world weather. And we have, let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah, we have live weather turned on. So, in theory, our information should be correct. Yes. All right, so here we're going to be looking for 3-1 left for ILS. There it is. And then we should have our chart up here. All right, ILS frequency we'll be looking for is 11135. Let's go to our audios and radios. Navcom. Yep. Oh, no, wrong one. Let's go to nav radios. Yep. All right, so it's already set there. Good. Let's go back to home. Come up here. It will not let me activate the approach. This is so frustrating. Well, with all new things carry a bug. About 30 miles from the airport here, so check our chart again for the approach. And by Zax, we should be at 2,000 feet. Okay, and it's got that there, which is good. Let's go ahead and go back to the home page, go back to our map. And I'm gonna let that keep on descending at about 1,000 feet. Alright, so I'll see you guys as we start to make the turn onto the approach here. Alright folks, so just a quick update on a good note. Once we got to Chant, the flight plan continued on its own. The leg from Chant to Zax was activated and we're on our way. Also, because I was so worried about that, I don't think I told you guys or showed it in the recording. 10,000 feet, turned the landing light on, and also turned the initial separator back on. So we should be good there. We're going to leave the anti-ice on as we're still only looking at about 30-35 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so. Alright. But we are moving right in. See, our bearing needle has been acquired for nav 1 for the localizer. So once we get closer to Zax, we'll go ahead and switch our nav mode. So we can go to the PFD and we'll change this to VOR 1. And that should get us lined up with the runway. We are about 15 miles out from the destination, so we've been landing in just a few minutes. Make sure your seatbelts are on, tray tables are up in the upright and locked position, and all baggage and cell phones are stowed away and powered down, or in airplane mode. We hope you've enjoyed this incredibly long and scenic route from Nashville, Tennessee over to New York City. It is huge, man. About 3 miles from Zach's. At about a mile's when we're going to go ahead and get us turned in. Radar altimeters come up here. And 2,000 feet is where we wanted to be at Zach, so that's good. We're right on target. So we're 2 miles away. I think that's close enough. Let's go ahead and switch our nav source over here from the PFD screen. Okay, so we go to PFD. Nav source right here. Change that to VOR1 or NAV1. And you can see this is the localizer for the ILS 31 left for JFK. So now we're going to line ourselves up with the runway. I'm also going to turn on the approach mode. We're also going to set flaps 1. Start slowing the aircraft down. Pulling back on the throttle. Looking for 85 knots on the approach today. Still got a little bit to go. We're just crossing through 10 miles. You can see here we're a little, or the glide slope's a little above us, so we're going to hold our altitude, and the glide slope indicator will come down. Once it matches our altitude, the aircraft will continue its descent. Inertial separators are on. Once we disengage the autopilot and take control of the landing manually, we'll make sure to disengage autopilot and the yaw damper. We want to make sure we have full authority on landing and takeoffs. Got a nice side wind here. It's only 3 knots, but so it's kind of interesting. This is where I question the validity of live weather in Microsoft Flight Simulator. According to the NOAA services that I'm looking on Google, actually I'm looking at 3 different METAR sources, excuse me, and they're all showing winds at 310. So unfortunately, Microsoft Flight Simulator in this particular case is wrong. Alright, so you can see the diamond for the glide slope coming down. We're now at... Come on. Oh, it's using... That's why. Sorry. 7.5 miles. I'm going to go ahead and go gear down. We're going to be looking for an 85 knot approach speed. Should be acquiring the glide slope any second. There's us turning on to final there. If anything, we're going to be landing with a tailwind. Luckily, it's only 3 knots, so I'm not too worried about it, but that's a drag. Makes it sort of hard to plot your And we could look. I mean, there's a way to do it, but and there's the glide slope acquired. And we're at 4 miles. I'm gonna go full flaps. And now we're hunting just for that 85 knot approach speed. So I'm gonna power up a bit. We got a little slow. And we can actually turn that on. If we go to speed bugs, approach speed. There it is right there. So we're gonna speed up a bit. Alright, so for anyone who's just joining us and might have skipped ahead, we're locked onto the localizer. Glide slope has been acquired. We're in approach mode. We are fully configured for landing. Gear down, full flaps. Speed bugs hit. We're just climbing up a little bit to our target approach speed. We are unfortunately landing with a slight crosswind. There was a discrepancy between Microsoft Flight Simulator and real-world MEDAR information when you look up JFK. I googled the MEDAR for it, and it shows the winds at 310 at 7 knots. And unfortunately, Microsoft Flight Simulator is showing me 212 at 3 knots. So it is what it is. We're like, you know, nothing too crazy. It's only 3 knots, but you know, we'll make it work, right? Man, I really rode that fuel line though. About 500 feet, I'll take over from the autopilot. Again, we'll make sure to disable yaw damper and the autopilot. Steady at 85 knots. Looking good. Little stuttery over in New York. Makes sense, a lot of terrain. And yaw damper is on, good. Pitot heat's on, LA icing is on. We can actually turn off our anti-icing now. Alright, there's 500 feet. Autopilot off, yaw damper off. My aircraft. Happy Lights say we're too low, but I think I'm going to disagree with them on that. The 3-degree line is just about on the piano keys, so. We are crabbing a little bit though. Alright, 20 feet. Throttle reduced. Nice squeaker. All right, and there is our flight into JFK. All right, so we've got our chart pulled up. We're getting ready to exit the runway here. Oops, almost passed it. And we're going flaps up. Monitor them here. Taxi light on, strobe light off. taxi over to the executive. Hope you guys enjoyed that little flight. We had a couple of little hiccups, but nothing too concerning. It was still a lot of fun. I can't stress enough, guys. I've said it in multiple videos. When things go wrong, don't... You know, I've heard of people rage quitting, you know, the simulator, like, nope, I'm not dealing with this, I'm not dealing with the crap, blah, blah. If anything... Okay, so you got two schools of thought here. One, oh, the sim isn't working the way it's supposed to. This mod isn't working the way it's supposed to. Oh, I'm not dealing with this, blah, 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 blah. Second school of thought is an unexpected event while you're flying your aircraft, which is something that happens to real-world pilots all the time. You know, now the nice thing about for us is we don't have to worry about, you know, that unfortunate ultimate ending of death and destruction and loss of life, right? Which I guess falls under death. Anyway, I digress. We get the advantage to say, okay, this unexpected event has happened, and I get to practice it as many times as I want. You know, I always take these scenarios, and they can get frustrating. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of times where, you know, I get just fed up with some of the things that pop up. But I always try to keep flying and get through it, you know. It's one of those, like, you know, yeah, this pissed me off that this happened, but what's my workaround? How can I still complete my flight so that way everything I've done up until this point isn't a waste of time? Right? And that's where it always comes down to. And so, you know, whenever you run into weird issues, your nav system isn't working, something weird like that goes on, you know, take the time to, you know, come up with a solution, come up with a plan, you know, put yourself out there in the real world. Oh no, you've lost your FMS system, you know, you've lost your primary flight plan. You know, you can see it, but you're not able to, you know, the computer's not recognize it, or it's trying to, you know, it's got a bug in the software where it's trying to take us back to a previous point. We don't have the fuel for that, you know, etc. Whatever idea that you can come up with, you know, but keep flying, you know, fly through it, come up with a solution for it, you know, figure out something to, you know, think above and beyond there, right? I think we're going to bring it right over here. I love this aircraft. It really is like a limousine in the air. This is probably my favorite one to fly. Even with all the weird issues I ran into with it and the mistakes that I've made, aircraft just absolutely, I never get tired of flying it. It's challenging, it's fast, it's fun, it's capable, it's got tons of neat features and abilities. There we go. Yeah, let's park behind here where all the trash can, dumpsters, luggage carts are. Yeah, this would be great. It's a perfect spot for someone of executive nature, right? Anyway, so here we go. Parking brake is now set. Clear the master caution. Initial separator off. Pitot heats off. Coming through here, approach mode deactivated. Flight directors off. Bank limiter off. Master caution cleared again. MFD returned to the home screen, or touchscreen controllers, excuse me, return to the home screen. Flaps are up and secure. Let's move up to the top panel here. Taxi light is off. Nav lights will stay on to the very end here. All right. And now let's go ahead and shut the engine off. So now we're going to take our engine, put it in low idle. Now it's supposed to stay in low idle for, I believe, 30 seconds. We're going to go ahead and just terminate it. Clear that master caution. Baggage doors open. Doors unlocked. Oh. Let's move back to Alt 5 here. Unlock the baggage doors, or the passenger doors. Ah, where is it? What's going on here? Turn. There we go. Alright. Passenger doors are open. Master caution needs to stop it. Alright, and I believe that we are secure. Let's turn our air conditioning off. Hot airflow set to the floorboard for the next engine start. Oh, and pressure differential off as well. Clear the master caution. Check, 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 check. Come up top. Autopilot trim off. Fuel selection down to manual. Auxiliary boost pump set to off. Ignition set to off. Nav lights off. Pulse lights off. And crash bar down and closed. And let's go back to our continue menu. Turn the oxygen master switch off. That should have been done before I killed the crash bar. That's all right. One last quick sweep. Going through the flow. Everything looks good. Stepping outside. Look at our gorgeous airplane. Why did none of our doors open? Uh-oh. What happened to all of our doors? That ain't right. You didn't. Don't mess with me, Microsoft. Okay, we were just kidding. You guys aren't really allowed to leave. There we go. Let's come up top here. Pop that baggage door open. All right, now let's go outside. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed your flight from Nashville, Tennessee over to New York City. It was quite a bumpy flight, but we made it all work out. Everybody's home and safe, and the screaming baby got her ice cream. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.